Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. I am Abe with MysticGenmara.com, a small town mystic from the middle of Idaho. And tonight, whenever you happen to be seeing this, I would like to offer a little information, a little reminder, if you will, of the midsummer for this year. Midsummer is the high time of summer. It's the longest day of the year. It is the summer solstice, also commonly known in the Sabbats as Litha. Officially, the summer solstice is when the day is 1 degree, the sun is 1 degree of Cancer, and so it's around the 20th to the 22nd of June. Traditionally, in a lot of groups, they would say it's the 21st just to make it an easy universal day we can schedule. It's also the first official day of summer, unless you're in the Southern Hemisphere. I think it's winter, it's Yule down there. But in some areas, summer's already in full swing. So we're heading that direction here in Idaho as well. It's a little toasty right at the moment. But this particular holiday, if you just kind of going over some information here, is the holiday for love and relationships, which most of the warmer months are in alignment with love in some way. Ostara, Beltane, and Litha are the ones really focused on love and relationships. But this one is in particular aligned with the practice of marriage and hand fasting. And so it is a commitment with another soul for the journey of life. This isn't going to be just some minor thing. These are big decisions that get made at Litha. The journey through the Sabbats, especially this particular Sabbat, goes back an exceptionally long time. There are references in some sources as far as 10,000 years ago. The high point of summer was celebrated as an important event. So this particular Sabbat is one that we should try to remember as well, because it is kind of important. And what's interesting is some of them have multiple days. So like Samhain used to be a 7-day event. Yule is 2 to 4 days, sometimes 5. Beltane is usually a week. But this particular one, and usually Lufthansa, I think it's Lufthansa, they're the other ones that are pretty much 1-day events, because you've got things to do that we can't take a whole week off to go to take care of. And that's one of these times with why this one's so important. Generally, it started to celebrate the night before and then the day of, and by that point, everything's wrapped up. As this is one of the quarter Sabbats, which is Mabon, the autumn equinox, Yule, Ostara, which is also known as the spring equinox, and of course I don't know how to spell. I have notes and I made a mess over them. And then with Litha, these are all classified as fire Sabbats. So bonfires are huge parts of this particular celebrations. And these particular 4 are always carried by fire. Now, don't get me wrong, Beltane and Samhain have fire as well, but it's not the key focus. Usually with the quarter Sabbats, that is the focus, is the fires. Water is the opposite of fire, and that's actually a really good balance for this type of energy. So it's a good time to work with fire, but make sure you got water available, because fire can be a little risky. And if you are in the United States, that's also interesting, because right after this holiday is the 4th of July, which is all about fireworks and stuff. So fire, water, still a big theme here. Some of the other actions with this particular Sabbat are the times of divination. Divination plays a role in a lot of the Sabbats, as they are seen as times of planning, moving forward, and getting communication from spirit, as the veil between various worlds tends to be thinner on these days. So one of the divinations is reading the flames. Not one that's very common anymore. You'll still see it a little bit, but it's not super out there. But what you would do back in the day is one of the recipes I found. You'd mix yarrow, vervain, St. John's wort, and random ferns that are local to your environment. They would be dried and ground into a powder, mixed the day before the bonfires at Litha, and then the person asking the question would hold those dried herbs. They would ask their question, and then they would cast their dried herbs into the fire. The diviner, usually a high priest or priestess of the tribe, would observe the fire, what happened when they threw the powder in there. And sometimes you'd get different colors of flames, which is kind of cool. Other times it would just be they would flare up, they would lay down, they would do different things, and the priest or priestess would be able to give the person the answer to their question through that divining. If you're not someone who wants to play with fire, that's fine. You can use tarot cards, you can use runes, scrying into a mirror works as well. This is a good time for just overall divination. Let's see here. Keep up with my notes. If you are an early riser, some people are, some people aren't. No shame either way. But if you are an early riser, on the morning of Litha, the 20th, the 21st, or the 22nd, get up before dawn and go out as the sun comes up. If you happen to be in a place that still gets dew, collect the dew off of whatever trees, bushes, plants you have around you in that morning before the sun burns it off. The morning of Litha creates a form of holy water that can be used throughout the year for a lot of different rituals and blessings. And you really don't need that much. A little dinky jar, you can take 1 drop and add it to other purified water, and it would be able to amplify that holy into that as well. So there's a lot of ways you can work with this energy. You don't have to be out there for hours scraping water off of bushes. Even just a 1 little bottle with some in it is going to be important for later on in the year. And this is also a good time in the mornings of Litha to work rituals in relation to relationships. And if it's you're pining for your true love, then work on that now. Again, when we talk about love, especially working this type of stuff, you're looking at characteristics, traits, and values that align with yours or what you're looking for in a partner. The physical stuff comes secondary, because if you're not aligned with the person on a spiritual level or a mental, emotional level, the physical doesn't mean a lot. Yeah, it might be fun for a minute, but then you have to deal with that person after the fact. So you want to make sure you're getting those core values down first. But you can also use this for outside of loving relationships. You can use this energy of this holiday for business relationships, making sure that you and your coworkers work well together. You can do ones for keeping your friendship strong. If there happens to be a little bit of a fight, this is a time to smooth things over. So it's not just one version of relationships. You can use it for a lot of different relationships and build upon what's already laid down. And if you are someone who is like a lot of people I know right now, they're obsessed with crystals and stones and this kind of thing. Another fun event you can do, and you can do this with the kids and the family if you want to, if you have, a little corner on your property, build a little circle of stones. You can get just river stones, you can find stones when you're out hiking or whatever, or you can go pick them out from a quarry or something. Find stones that really mean something to you and the circle you're with, and build a little like herb garden style, but make the circle part of the ritual. This can be kind of like a Stonehenge type project if you wish to for that, but it's a reminder of the cycles of the year. It's a way for you to remember the cycles of the Sabbats, but also the cycle of life. Even if you happen to be an apartment dweller or you don't have a lot of property, you can build one on if you have a small patio, you can build one on a table. You can also build one on your altar inside your bedroom. It's just a way for you to remember the cycles. If you're doing a Sabbat style one, you do 8. If you're doing one for the months of the year or zodiac, you do 12. Follow your intuition and guidance as to how many stones you would put in there. And the stones don't have to be specific crystals aligned with certain energies. That's nice, but not necessary. I'll just put it that way. The one thing that I would suggest, though, is make sure that if you're building this, you're doing it with your own intentions. If you're doing the family one, everyone's involved. If you're doing 12 and you got 4 people in your family, everyone picks 3 stones. Things like that. So you're bringing and incorporating the energies of everyone into the circle, into this reminder of the year and of the cycles of life. That's kind of an important message, I guess you could say. The other thing that goes along with this, and I talk about this a lot in meditations and one-on-ones with people, during this time of the year, when we talk about the lore of the Lord and Lady, the God and Goddess, the divine masculine and the divine feminine, because we do have both in the world, it is the time of the year when both are holding power over the land. During this time, the lady is in full power. She's spreading her life-giving energy to all of nature. She also just figured out she's pregnant with the next year's Lord that is born on December 21st. So she is in great spirits and great energy. The Lord is also in his full glory, protecting the land and the people, fully mature in the warrior aspect of divine masculine and in his protector role and provider role. Basically a king in his prime, if you like to look back to the old days of, King Arthur and Guinevere and Camelot and all that. This was the time where Camelot was in his glory, so you can look at it from that perspective. The one thing, though, and all of the Sabbats have this, and you don't think about it with Litha, just because it's bright and cheerful and sunny, and there's relationships and all this fun energy. But there's also a balance. Because during this time, the Lord is coming to his fullness. He's at his apex. The sun is literally at the longest day of the year. Which also means that this is the start of the Lord's inevitable downward slide into the underworld, which occurs usually at Samhain, according to the traditions that I follow. And this glorious period is tainted with this touch of sadness or melancholy, which the king on his throne knows that his time is short. This is the reminder for us to enjoy the little things in life. Don't get so distracted by end game goals and all this other stuff that we forget to live. The journey is what brings us joy. So when we get to the end, we get that big project finished, we get that job, we get that house, whatever it is. That's the end of a path, and that's the goal. But what happens after that? You set new goals. You build more things. You aim for higher resources. So when you're doing this, enjoying the journey amplifies what we are doing as people, as souls, as spiritual beings. But it's also this reminder that to live in the now, enjoying these moments, because we don't know how long we have. The procession of the Sabbats is about us understanding that there is a cycle to life, and it happens to everyone. We all have to go through the highs and the lows, the joys and the sadnesses. So when you're out there celebrating the Sabbat of Litha or Midsummer, understand that this is also the beginning of a downward slide. Doesn't mean it's negative, it just means this is how life works. And that's also the reminder when the sun is at its full peak, when it's at full power. It's that reminder to not forget our shadows. Because if we forget our shadows during the great times, when things don't go so well, the shadow can rebel against you. When we are in the sun, when the sun is at its greatest glory and the biggest strength, we can face these other aspects of ourselves a little bit easier. Because in the light of day, is your shadow a scary thing? No. During high noon, your shadow is just this little circle that sits underneath you. It doesn't have any threat. So when this sun is at its peak, this is the time for us to actually understand our shadows. See what's going on. What lessons do we need to learn? What aspects of ourselves do we need to draw out of the dark and put them back in the sunlight? Wash them off. Clean off the stuff that made them dark in the first place. We had to shove them back into our shadow. And when we do, and we learn these lessons from the darkness of our shadow in the light of the sun, it reveals the light of creation to who we are. When we can understand that cycle, we bring those things that are in the dark, the things that we were told weren't good enough, our intuition, our being able to sense what other people think or see, all of these things that we were told when we were younger, most of us anyway. Oh, those are bad. Don't you? No one can really do that. You can't read other people's minds. Oh, sure, they have an energy. So you shove that stuff into your shadow. But then it comes back later in life, and it's almost tripping you up because you have this fight in your head. But when we're in that time of Litha, we can reveal through the light of God's source what's really there, your gifts, your talents, and your skills that you can draw out of the shadow. Work with what they're bringing forward. Your shadow will always bring something up. Let that happen. And when you do, It's going to reveal the true light of creation for you, who you are as a person, and how you can move forward with that energy. Challenges and lessons are all part of our journey with the circle of life. And the Sabbats can help us understand and reveal them. Sometimes it's going into the darkness of Samhain through Yule, where we have to go quiet, we have to do our own research, we have to go inside and figure out what's going on, and then bring it back into the light. But this time we're in the light, so we can examine the darkness a little bit easier. And that, it really just sets us up for, as nature is being in full swing, so is human life. Everything in life in the summer feels better. Might be a little bit toasty, but in general, everything is better. The Lord and Lady's power are in full swing. They're radiating out their power and energy. And how does that play into your life? How does that make you feel as a soul? Well, you can do things like celebrating this day with bonfires, unless it's really super hot, which it's heading that direction where I'm at, so probably not a bonfire. But you can still do barbecues. You can still have the sprinkler, be outside, feel the sun on your face, splash in flowing water of a stream or even a sprinkler. Have a water balloon fight. We used to do that all the time growing up. It was so much fun. Enjoy what life is to offer. Enjoy the expansion of the heart and the soul in this time of the year. Being outside and having fun with friends and family, where you're laughing, you're enjoying things. Notice how your heart responds. This is a time for soul healing as well. And that's what the Lord and Lady in balanced power are offering to you, is how to bring this forward and really revel in this energy. This is also a good time to check in on yourself and on your goals. You set goals back at Yule, which is, the way we look at the new year on this channel anyway. And have you been following your inner guidance? Have you been taking those next steps that have been inspired? If so, see where those intentions are and look at what's coming next. If you haven't, maybe this is a time to recheck. Am I still aligned with that intention? If it's yes, how can I build forward? If the answer is no, okay, I need to let that one go. And where am I headed next? What am I building towards in this next moment? As with Beltane, if we're going to look at the thinning of the veils, this is a time when the fairy realm tends to be a little more thin. We also have the angelic realm, which is a little bit more dominant with this time period, so either or is great. And if you really want to play with the energy of the fairy, the early morning and twilight are the times when that veil's the thinnest. And when I talk about if you really want to play with this, I mean that for a reason. The fairy realm is not the pixies and some of those kids' cartoons we used to have, where they're fighting the guy with the hook hand and things like that. That's not exactly what we're dealing with. We're talking about powerful elemental beings that are neutral in the fact of good and evil, but that also means we don't know what direction they're going to go at any moment in time. That's why I say if. I wouldn't probably play with the fairies at this point, but the angelic realm is open at this time as well, so maybe work with one of your guides and guardians. If there's a certain angel that you're curious about, do some meditations. I've got multiple meditations on this channel you can go check out. I think there's even a playlist I set up for it. So you can check out an angel that you've been wanting to maybe check in on, see how they feel. If it's a vibe that connects with you, might be something to look into. And since this particular Sabbat is aligned with divination, I will be offering real quick here, if I can rearrange my window. I only have one screen, so everything kind of gets cluttered. We'll be doing a Summer Solstice reading. It's a general reading for the energy of those who are watching, so take what works and leave the rest. And this particular reading is specific to the Summer Solstice and the beautiful power of what the sun has to offer us. So this is going to be an interesting read. But the other part with this is a time to embrace the duality of life. With the mother-father roles, play with it. Watch how your parents interact. If you don't have your parents with you, how do you interact with your partner, your spouse? And allow that to be revealed in the most pure and holy path ahead. That way you can show the next generation what it means to be in balance with each other. because when the masculine and the feminine are in balance, powerful magic happens. When one is too strong or one becomes unhealthy and both sides can do it, that's when things aren't great. That's why we want to understand where we are and not work to change someone else. We work to improve. But embracing what it means to be both of those sides and then bringing them into balance, powerful things happen with that. So the first card we have is the sun is illuminating. So what is the sun illuminating for the group here? And it's that we have the 10 of Ariel. There's so much to be grateful for: financial success, the promise of retirement, a rich, rewarding family life. So the sun in this aspect this year is revealing to you the family. It's revealing to you to show gratitude for everything that you have. So this is a good time to maybe go out and splash in the water and just say thank you to God's source. Thank you to the angels. Thank you to the elementals for everything that they have offered to you. Thankful to the friends. You don't have to say it out loud, but it's put out the energy of gratitude. And it's also the time where you're illuminating the family structure, the group of friends, or sometimes just your pets or whatever. But focus on the things that are your family and allow that to be the center of your attention and growth. That is really what the sun energy is bringing in, that it's illuminating, bringing your attention to this year, is the family and the family unit. The finances and the success are the secondary aspects of that. So when you're really focused on the family and that sharing that gratitude, secondary is the finances and that successful side. But it's also the message of planning for the future. So you've got a lot of things happening there that the sun is just like, hello, here's some light, pay attention. So the second card is the energy that you're radiating into the universe. So what kind of energy are you putting out? And we have the 9 of Gabriel: stay determined and move forward, being prepared for any possibility. So you're in the energy of growth and expansion here. And this is as a group and as a collective. This means the energy you're radiating out is the fact that you understand your shadow. You understand the other side of your path and your existence, and that's allowing you to step forward into this better state. And by doing so, you're showing the sun to other people. You're reflecting the light of the Creator into the world around you. That's a very powerful message when you think about it, that our universe is offering to us this day. Let me adjust something real quick. And then our third card: what does your soul need to release? And this is not always the easiest one, because this is where you may have to look at yourself in the mirror and figure out what doesn't work. But remember, you're in the light of the sun, so your shadow is a lot smaller. It's easier to deal with. We have number 12, the perspective card, which I believe in the traditional tarot would be the hanged man. There is a better way, pause for reflection and insight, dare to be different with Archangel Kamael, which is a very gentle, loving energy. And it's this call to don't get stuck in a path that you've always believed. This is the only way, and this is what I was taught, and I cannot change it. Want to bet? And that's what this perspective is saying, is look around. It doesn't mean you have to change your mind on everything, but can you look at the situation? Can you look at the world around you from a different mindset or a different perspective? Observe the world through another's eyes. When we are able to step away and distance ourselves from our own beliefs and thoughts and view another world or another person's opinion, it allows us to see the world more clearly as a whole. It's not so focused on, this is the only right path because I know. Okay, you know your path, but that doesn't mean it's the only right one. So the energy that's saying, what does your soul need to release, is the locked-in perspective of, I can't look at anyone else's opinion. Maybe try looking at it from another's perspective. Get out of the only one path viewpoint and just see what else is out there. So how can you use the sun's energy, this particular Sabbath, for growth and expansion? We have the 3 of Gabriel: prosperity arising from wise planning, planning for the future, Taking time to take the next steps, moving forward, optimistic plans that turn out as expected. This is where we get into the brass tacks. The sun is bringing in the energy of momentum, the energy of movement. Just because you know things have to go through a cycle, some things go up, some things come down, that doesn't mean you're done and you're stopping. The Lord is at his peak during this time of the year, but it starts his gradual decline over the next several months, where he goes into the underworld. The Three of Gabriel is saying, you're at your peak right now, so how are you moving forward? There's ups and downs in every life. There's movement available to every one of us. And how are you using this to move forward? And how are you using this for your growth? Every answer is going to be different, but you're using the medicine of the sun, the healing energy that the sun's bringing forward, this very powerful, balanced masculine and feminine energy. And how are you going to use that to move forward? So your next card, which is what's going to manifest from the summer solstice in the next 3 months. We have the Four of Gabriel. Time for a celebration, abundant rewards for hard work, releasing yourself from a situation. As you're moving forward, this is a time where you get to pick what you're creating. The Four of Gabriel is saying, are you going to go move forward with celebrations? If you are hand fasting or getting married around this time of the year, the next 3 months are going to be a blast for you. How are you going to play this forward? How are you going to play this out? This is a beautiful time for you to expand. So what are you going to manifest? I'm feeling relationships are going to be a big part of this, whether it's deepening a current one, getting a new one, or possibly having a young one on the way. But the things that are manifesting, I'm feeling, is something that's associated with fertility and growth and abundance. And your last, bringing everything together here, the message from the source of all is leap of faith, which is the Fool, with Archangel Metatron, believing in yourself, listening to your heart, doing what gives you joy. This is your time to shine. There is a new beginning coming in for you. Watching all those who are watching this video, this is a time for you get to make the decision. Everything building up to this message is saying, get clear what's showing up, what do you need to let go of, because it's time for you to start living in the now. It's time for you to work on your ascension. Metatron is the angel of guidance and those who are on spiritual journeys. It is your time to step forward and live that existence, live that joyful life. And the journey of 1,000 steps begins with 1 step. And that's what we have for you all this Litha. If you enjoyed this video, please drop a like, comment, let me know your thoughts, feelings, and opinions, and I will see you in the next video.